watch me change up. See you strutting red bottoms, pumps laced up. I got this under control, might as well let it go. Luda, I'ma see how low she'll go. Look, don't be scared, go ahead, bring it back. Watch me blow a stack and make it right back. I ain't no new boy, she love to call me jerk. Just call me the boss, I love to see you flirt. Focus, focus, girl, I'm focused. Magic stick, that's it, little potion. What you talk about? Look, I've been here. Do you wanna get next to just going in?
Do you think that you could handle this? Do you really, really think that you could handle this? Do you think that you could handle this? Do you really, really think that you could handle this? You know you can't handle me. When I put it on you, I'ma bring you to your knees. I got you weak, boy, you can't even speak. Cause you're busy trying to figure out how to handle me now. Do you think that you could handle? You think that you could handle? You think that you could handle this? Do you think that you could handle this? Do you really, really think that you could handle this?
Stay tuned. You are now listening to the Commish Radio Show.
If you're ready for some home-style cooking, some real Cajun food, you need to visit Thibodeau's Cajun Cooking, 107 North Cedar Ridge in Duncanville, Texas, for some of the best Cajun food in town. They also have live music as well. Great spot to bring your friends and your family. Thibodeau's Cajun Cooking.
This is Ed Gray of the Commish Radio Show. You can catch us now on Wednesdays, 5 to 6 in the Red Bowl, followed by Howard Scott of the Howard Scott Show. Why can't we be friends? On the Fishbowl Radio Network. Jump in.
Fishbowl Radio Network, FBRN.US. You're logged on to the Commish Radio Show right now, live with Ed Gray, your commissioner. What's going on?
Hey, man. This is it. All right, I'm back again for another Saturday, and I'm with my mayor. I keep saying my mayor. You know, I say it's my mayor, but I only have one mayor because I live in Grand Prairie, Texas, and this is the first time I've had my mayor, Ron Jensen, right here, who's beside me. How you doing, Mayor?
Great to be here, Ed. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, you know, I've been trying to get you on the show for the last 4 or 5 years. Now you finally made it.
You finally made it. You kept trying, and I finally came through.
Finally came through. So I'm glad that you're here.
You bet.
I'm glad that you're here. We got a short period of time. I would like to have you come back. I've had, we had the chief of police on before. He's been on, and several of the city council members have been on. But this is, we're here.
We'll just try to do it a couple times a year and keep you updated.
All right.
First, I got to get reelected, and if I do, I'll come back.
All right, let's do that. Let's see what's going on. Well, tell us about yourself. I know about you because I obviously live in Grand Prairie, but tell the other citizens of the DFW area about you.
Well, sure. We moved here. My dad is a Baptist preacher. He was in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we moved here in 1963. He accepted the position of pastor at 8th Street Baptist Church, right at 8th Street and Skyline Road. I was 12, went to Lee Junior High, Grand Prairie High School, graduated in 1969 from Grand Prairie High School, and then went on to UTA. While I was going to UTA, I was with my good friend Sammy Hyde, going to pick him up one evening, and out walks his sister from her car into the house, and I said, who is that? And he said, well, that's my sister. And I said, well, where's she been? Well, she hadn't been home for a while. She's a little older, and we started dating that next day and never quit, and got married 5 months later in December, and we've been married 6 months later, and we been married, let's see, 48 years. 48 years.
You were good
now.
with the 5 and the 6 months, but
it'll be 48. Yeah, it'll be 48 years this December. 3 kids, 4 grandkids, and I started working for Mr. Hanks back in 1972. Still there. Was with him until he passed away. He passed away, Ed, right before I became mayor. He knew I was going to run for mayor because he knew Charlie wasn't going to run. So Mr. Hanks passed away in 2012, October 2012, and he certainly wanted me to continue on and be mayor, and but he was not able to live long enough to see me become mayor. But still living in town, love it. Rebecca and I love what we're doing for the city, and glad we're here. I've enjoyed being in my hometown.
Your hometown. Now, you've been mayor now for how many years now?
6 years.
6 years?
I was elected in 2013. I'm finishing up my second 3-year term.
Now, the time that you've been here, 6 years, you served on the city council before that, correct?
Yes, I was elected to council back in 2002. Ran against a good friend of yours. Now has become a good friend of mine, Stretch Rideau. I didn't know him when he decided to run against me. He was on the school board at the time. But after the election, we became good friends. And he's running for school board again right now against some competent people. There's going to be a good race there.
Now, I recall that election, that was before I became involved in radio and TV, and I no longer do endorsements. But during that time frame, I had endorsed Stretch, and I met you.
Right.
You were campaigning, and I said, man, wow, this is hard, you know. I don't want to change my vote. I didn't change my vote.
No.
But I told you then that I thought that you were a qualified person, and well, you know, so it's been for the last 6 years or 8 years. How long did you serve on the city council?
I served on the city council 11 years.
11 years.
I never wanted to run against Charlie, and I remember that conversation. I didn't try
Now,
to
you
talk
said
you
Charlie,
up.
dropping Charlie. What's his name?
Mayor England.
Right.
I didn't want to run against Mayor England, and I remember that conversation. I didn't try to talk you out of.
No,
I
you
knew you had good relationships. John Stewart had good relationships. Some of the people I met had good relationships with Stretch, and Stretch a good man. So I didn't want to talk you out of it. Someday you'll vote for me. You won't be able to publicly announce it, but because you're doing this now. But it was a good time back then, and I made lots of friends after that election.
Now, what do you think was your biggest accomplishment of being mayor?
Well, Tom asked me one time, our city manager, after I'd been mayor about a year, he came into my office because we had done the epic vote to build the Epic Waters Play Grand Adventures, and he came in and said, what do you think your legacy is going to be? What do you want your legacy to be? And I immediately said, Tom, I want the people in Grand Prairie that live, work, and play in Grand Prairie to feel better about living and working and playing in Grand Prairie when I'm done. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. Of course, the Epic and the new development that's going on, that is part of the puzzle to make us all feel better, because we have been underserved for so long in restaurants, in retail, so underserved. I'm so tired of driving to Arlington to get things, I'm ready to get it here. But my main emphasis since I became mayor is to try to bring the community together, get us feeling good and feeling better about Grand Prairie and the hometown that many of us have grown up in, and then new ones that have come in. I want them to want to live in Grand Prairie and not move to Midlothian, not move to other cities. I want them to feel good about Grand Prairie and stay here.
So the development on 161, we are working very hard on that. And I say we because I've been involved in a lot of this.
Everybody's pitching in.
Being on the commission, the zoning, and a lot of people have asked me, said, Commissioner, what is that? Well, the reason why, and you already know the answer,
right?
Because I was a commissioner on the Zoning Board of Appeals and lots of other commissions in Grand Prairie. But when I say we, the people of Grand Prairie, we've all done due diligence in making 161 vibrant. Is 161 going to rival 360 when it comes to economic development?
I think it will be better than 360 for Grand Prairie, because you have to remember 360, we share it with Arlington. I mean, some of the, up on North 360, actually we're on the west side of 360 for a little bit, but we don't have much commercial over there. You know, that Dairy Queen up there on 360 is in Grand Prairie.
Right.
On the west side. People don't know
and
that.
The 7-Eleven.
And the 7-Eleven.
And the Christian Brothers. Christian Brothers is either the first business in Grand Prairie or the last one, depending upon which way you drive.
That golf course, Riverside, is in Grand Prairie. But you go down south, as you go down south, Arlington hops over on our side. Remember the old Farm Mall?
Right.
That was in Arlington. Six Flags Mall, even though it was on the east side of 360, that's Arlington. So 360 didn't give Grand Prairie the economic boom that 161 and the George Bush Turnpike will. Now, I'll tell you, now that we have 360, the toll road going down south all the way to 287, that opens up more developable land on the west side. Now, everything south of I-20 on the east side of 360 is in Grand Prairie. The west side is Arlington, even down to Debbie. You turn on Debbie to go into Mansfield, that first mile is Arlington on your way to Lifetime Fitness and things. People don't understand that. That hard corner there on the west side of 360 and Debbie is Arlington, not Mansfield. But when you go all the way down to Broad, Mansfield comes over on the east side where the stadium is. Of course, that's Mansfield Independent School District Stadium, which we have Mansfield Independent School Districts in Grand Prairie. We have Arlington Independent School Districts in Grand Prairie because everybody that lives in Tarrant County in Grand Prairie goes to another school. They don't go to GPISD. We got probably 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 kids down on the peninsula that attend Mansfield Independent School District. So we will have a lot of good developable land at the hard corner of New York, hard corner of Debbie and Raglan to develop down there on South 360 on our side.
Now, you're running for re-election.
Yes, sir.
And the election is coming up.
A week from today.
A week from today. Have you voted yet?
Oh, yeah. I voted the first day early voting started.
Now, economic development obviously is one of your platforms.
Well, certainly. And I'll be meeting with people. I meet with people weekly that want to come. I don't post it. I don't talk about it because they aren't ready to make a decision. They're not, even when they decide they want to come, you have to do some negotiations with them. So we're meeting with a big group this week that we're so excited about wanting to get them here. If I get to announce it, you'll be excited and you'll say, I heard that first. I didn't know what.
You can announce it right now.
I could, but I'm not going to.
No, just between me and you. Everyone that's looking at home, just close your ears.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But
I'm not going to.
Do it?
No. Yes, like Main Event. We knew about Main Event for months. And I didn't know whether they were going to let me announce it at my State of the City. I found out the week before. Staff called me, the developer called me, we closed on the land, and they will let you announce it, and they're going to do their own press releases. So we sit on things sometimes 6 months because those major corporations want the announcement to be tied with their press release. It's just like IKEA. We knew about it in February that year that they came, but they didn't let us announce it until October. And we kept it a secret. 50 people kept it a secret. You couldn't have told, when we discuss things in executive session, I'm so proud of our team in there. They keep tight-lipped because we also found out after the fact that Arlington was negotiating with them on the site where the summit, not our summit, but Summit Racing is. Great site. IKEA and Arlington were negotiating for that. IKEA chose our site. Then they went back and negotiated with Summit and got them too. So I would have liked to have both, but I'm glad we got IKEA and they got Summit.
Okay. Speaking of IKEA, there was a shooting at IKEA, I think it was last year.
I don't even know how long ago it was. It was probably at least a year ago. Yes, sir.
Is that still in litigation or
It's not in litigation. DA has everything. He hadn't come out with his decision. The DA hadn't come out with anything about it yet. But we have our staff, our police staff and everything has turned everything over to the DA, so it's over in Dallas in the DA's office.
Okay. Because I know that Angela Lucky, who's your opponent,
yes,
she's running for your seat, and that's one of the things that she has spoke about.
Sure. And we're ready to get the DA. I'd like a DA's decision soon, but we don't rush them. I mean, they take their own time.
So it's not in the city's ballpark?
Oh, no. We're waiting on them.
So only thing we have to do is just call the DA and say, Judge Crusoe.
Good luck on telling them to speed it up, but that's all you...
Well, now that we've taken care of that, I want to go ahead and ask you, what can we do to improve police relations in Grand Prairie? Do you see a problem with that?
Well, there are problems in any city with relations, period. Not just police relations, all relations. There's a heightened sense there's a undercurrent of racial tension no matter what city you're in. We will continue to work, I will continue to work, and the police department will continue to work to try to bridge those differences, get included and be inclusive in things, people we invite to things. The boxing thing that the police department is doing, the community table I do, the mentoring program I do, the mentoring program the police department does is not specifically geared for any particular race, but since we're a majority minority district, when you reach out and start having interactions with at-risk kids, you're going to get your fair share of diversity. So we need to keep doing diverse programs to help kids and help them, especially the at-risk kids. That's what the chief and I have been, and our Judge Jones, JP Court, and Judge Bryan, our municipal court, have been looking at. We had our first meeting this past Tuesday night with juveniles that are required to attend the mentoring program as part of their homework to get their record expunged. And we had about 10 to 12 kids show up, and 2 or 3 of them showed up to boxing the next day to join boxing. They're gonna make it out of that. So we have to continually work to build relationships. And the reason I started my community table is this simple story, Ed, if you don't mind me telling it. Andy White worked for the city, big, tall, strapping black man, about my height, a little older than me, and he started working for the city. And I tell him my story about going to college and meeting Rebecca during college, and then meeting my boss and getting hired in college, and then making it, and I'm still there. But you talk to Andy and hear his story as a son of a sharecropper, and what he had to do to go through college, and what he had to go through as a black man, young black man, to make it in corporate America. Completely different story. Got to love the man, still love him, see him once or twice a month. I'm at his retirement. Wasn't on the agenda to speak. I just walked into Dalworth. They saw me in the back and said, "Mayor, would you like to come up and say a few words about Andy?" And I did. I went up to him and I said these 2 things, Ed. I said, I have a pretty neat story to tell. I'm still at the same company I started at in college. Rebecca and I got married in college. We're still together. Pretty neat story. But when I hear Andy's story, mine pales in comparison for a young black man in that era to make it to where he's at. The second thing I said was, if more old white men like me knew old black men like Andy, we'd have less discrimination in this world. Why did I say that, Ed? Because many of us have grown up without context or relationships with people of color. Many times both ways. Once you get to know somebody, once you and I sit at the table and have coffee and talk, we find out we're very similar. More similar than dissimilar, aren't we? And it breaks racial and color barriers. So that's why I started the community table, to get people of different backgrounds and different ethnicities to sit and discuss, not religion or politics. That's my 2 things you can't discuss, because I'm not going to convince you to turn to my religion over a cup of coffee, or change your mind about your politics.
All right.
But I can talk to you about family and things like that we have in common.
Okay. All right. One of the things I want to go ahead and touch base with, since we're talking about having things in common, is our dedication to the city of Grand Prairie and development in Grand Prairie. You mentioned the peninsula. What's going on down there in regards to development? I thought by now we would be rivaling Lake Ray Hubbard.
Well, have you driven down there in the past 6 months? If you have, now let's talk about 2 areas. Let's talk about the private area first, then we'll talk about where we wanted to do the convention center next. The private area finally is big time under construction, all the way down at Grand Peninsula, England Parkway. There's they're finally getting the convenience store with gas stations. A little convenience store with gas station with strip center to do some neighborhood services. Now, it's not going to be a grocery store, but somebody has to go get a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread, and there'll probably be a nail salon down there, cleaners, things like that. Across the street, high-end apartments with some retail under it, and then some condominiums behind them that are going to start at $350,000, and houses behind them that's going to start at $450,000. So we're finally getting some rooftops, some density down there that's going to help the development down there to give them some more retail and commercial. Now let's go north to the peninsula. When I first got elected to the council, we were working with Ray Gold, and it was going to be the Wildflower. It was going to have a Jack Nicklaus course out there and a Sergio Garcia course out there. When the economy tanked, they lost their funding and they went away. It's on Corps property. It's not on Grand Prairie property. It's on Corps of Engineer property. But we have assumed the lease for it. Bought that years ago before I got on the council, assumed the lease, 99-year lease. There's probably 90 years left on it now. So we have the right to develop it, but the Corps has to approve the development. Since Wildflower has gone away, we've had 2 serious bidders, potential, and the Corps approved one of their sites preliminarily with final approval on getting some more plans, but they didn't come up with their equity money. So we're still working on trying to find a developer to build us a hotel conference center there on the peninsula.
And that's what I was looking forward to.
Right, that's me too.
Because Lake Ray Hubbard, with that whole complex, with the hotels and everything.
Well, yes. Now, that site will never have homes on it because you're not going to build homes on leased property. This is leased property, but we can, and that's one of the issues about hotels and stuff because it's on leased property. But hotels haven't found it to be that big a deal because we have about 90 years on the lease, so they'll get their money out. But it's different than if you're buying a piece of land, Ed. So that some hotel groups won't even talk to you about it on leased land.
Now let's bring it home. Westchester.
Yeah.
There was a grocery store that moved out, and now we only have a Tom Thumb. And what are we going to do with that grocery store that's a big box?
Well, and I get asked that all the time. Of course, we can't do anything with it. Right. And I get asked many times, are they going to put a grocery store in there? Well, they're not. And here's why they're not going to put a grocery store in there. Albertsons owns it. That building, Albertsons Corporation, also owns what? Tom Thumb. So they're not going to put a competitor in there. The Kroger up by my business closed. What we're finding is a little consolidation in the grocery store.
Which is only fair if you run a business.
Well, we're seeing some consolidation, and here's one of the reasons why they're seeing some consolidation. More people are buying online groceries and having it delivered. They don't care where, they don't go in a shop. And Walmart, with both Walmarts, with the vast offering they have in their grocery store side, has taken some business away from the other local grocery stores. That's competition. Aldi and some of those have kind of filled in the gap. The people that don't want to go to the big store and just want to go buy bagged fruit and things, we go to Aldi and get a few things, but I do not think from what our developers have tried to get one of the super Krogers, the big Krogers on 161. And they're not coming. They're just not. They're not expanding right now in areas like that. They built one on 287, a big one on 287 over in Mansfield. If you hadn't been by that one, it's huge. But everybody wants a grocery store. I want a Sprouts. I'd take a Whole Foods or a Sprouts, but we've courted them and they've said no.
Development again, and when we're talking about development in Westchester again, you need to come on the show more often. Because I know a lot of people follow me from Grand Prairie, and they've asked me these questions because they said, you're on the commission. I said, I've resigned from that to devote my attention elsewhere. But by Rusty's Tacos and the Starbucks, what are we building in?
Well, right between Starbucks and the theater is a Andy's frozen custard. There's one in Grapevine. This one will be identical to the one in Grapevine. They've already got the roof on it, closed it in, and Andy's frozen custard. Now, one of the unique things about that whole development, Ed, is they couldn't develop those areas until years ago when cities, not just City of Grand Prairie, other cities decided to reduce the amount of parking needed for these sites. That was all parking lot for the movie theater.
Exactly.
So we reduced the number of parking. See, you don't think about it, but that theater has lots of parking behind it. But no one, they're finally having to park back there because all the parking's been taken up. There wouldn't be a Starbucks or an Andy's Custard there, and I don't know if it got. I don't know that we could even had the Panera Bread or the Rusty's Taco, which just went back from our taco to Rusty's Taco with the original name, without changing those parking requirements. So when you go by Kohl's, they're on Carrier, out front, there's a sign saying some lots are available to lease or sell in front of Kohl's because they are going to take some of their parking spots. So it has helped economic development a lot, allowing these companies to sell part of their parking lot for development. Now, we've had let's go back to the Albertsons on Carrier. There are some companies that love going into second generation buildings. They don't build their own, so the brokers know that, though. We feed them people we hear things and we feed it to the brokers.
Okay, all right. Now we will come back after a break. I'm just here looking at two T's in a pod, and we wanted to go ahead and acknowledge them in the audience as well. And I will, after the end of our show, I'll have them come in for a minute or two and talk about their new show. But first and foremost, we want to go ahead and give you your time because we know that you got to go downtown because what's happening downtown?
Well, it's Main Street Fest, and it's last night all day today, and tomorrow's going to be packed because tomorrow's always family day, and everybody's there tomorrow, and the weather's going to hold. It's going to be great. Tyler Farr's out on the big headliner tonight at 10 o'clock. I'll introduce him and stay a little while and then go home. I'm not going to stay till midnight.
Yeah, I normally see you out there when we do Main Street.
I was there last night all afternoon, not all afternoon, all evening. I'll be there tonight, and I'll be there tomorrow evening.
Cool. When we take our break, we'll come back and we will conclude that interview. We don't want you to be late because we know you like to hang out and party on Main Street this time of the year. Strip.
Hello, this is Chris Howell, the Chris Howell Foundation, and the founder of In the Huddle with Chris Howell. I really enjoy listening to Ed Gray right here on the Commish Radio Show. If you need empowerment, you need encouragement, and you need information that's going to help you to move to the next level, then you need to listen to the Commish Radio Show right here.
Tune into the Commish Radio Show on Fishbowl Radio Network. I'm Pastor Freddie Haynes. I listen to the Commish Show on the Fishbowl for my social activism information so I can be a better agitator.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Wooten, and I'm the owner of Center of Attraction Hair Gallery. And when I want to be informed about what's going on within the DFW communities, I tune in every Saturday to the Commish Radio Show with Ed Gray from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Join us.
Hi, this is Thurman Jones, publisher with the North Dallas Gazette, hanging out with the Commish Radio Show, trying to learn what's going on in the community. Anybody that needs to know what's going on in the community, check out the Commish Show.
All right, Commish Radio Show back again. The mayor is very informal, so I'm on break trend here. I'm gonna just go ahead and get informal too. All right, we're gonna do that. I'm not gonna throw my tie across. That's bad form, as you know. As we're talking politics here, the camaraderie that exists, obviously in Grand Prairie, how do you get that to to translate? You know, how do you do it? Because you're running against, or rather she's running against you, the NAACP president. And have you guys talked or anything like that?
We've spoken when I've seen her at the two forums that we both attended, and we're cordial to one another, but I've not sat down and spoke with her or talked to her. And I'm running my campaign hard with my issues, and we're friends on Facebook, but I don't follow her during this. I didn't care. You know, let her do her thing. I'm going to do my thing, and we'll both be okay no matter what happens.
Because I'm looking at some of the comments that are coming through, and one of the comments was something about a yard sign being taken down or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's up on that?
Well, I get home one Sunday night from going down south, and I have some property. My property is at the corner.
You gonna tell everybody where you live at now?
Oh,
That's public knowledge.
Yeah,
right?
I live on Matthew Road. That's how you get back into my house. But my house is actually all the way over at Lake Ridge and Barden Road. So I had a sign up at the corner of Lake Ridge and Barden Road, and we get home this Sunday night, and my opponent had her sign right next to mine. So I called City Hall the next day. That morning I said, it's on my property, will y'all come get it? Well, they're not going to take it down either. What I understand, they contacted my opponent, and she didn't come get it down either. So when I got home that evening, I went and got it down and gave it back to her the next day, and I was perfectly within my legal rights because it was on my property. And a friend of mine, a local businessman, did the same thing on his property. Okay. They can't put sign. You can put it up in the right of way. It's illegal to put it in the right of way. The city will pick it up. But if it's on private property, which that sign was, the landowner can take it down.
So you were the homeowner, landowner.
I'm the landowner, yeah. And
so you took down something that was on your property.
Yes, and even gave it back to her, which I.
Okay, because people they like calling me and saying, "I bet you won't ask him this. I bet you won't ask him
I don't.
this."
I ain't got nothing to hide.
Well, I ain't got nothing to hide either.
And my opponent.
But this is the deal, though. This is the thing that camaraderie in politics and just being decent in politics.
Right.
Because this is how it looks. It looks like you came and you took her sign down,
which I did.
And people have it on video, and someone says, another organization came to me and said, well, it sure looks like Ron Jensen that did this. I said, well... There's no hiding the fact I did it. The police called me that night, and I said, I sure did it. Yeah, there was no denying I did it. But it's in your property.
It was on my property, and my opponent did a open records report to make sure that it was on my property, and the city did the site plan and all that and showed where it was. And sure, now it was the street side of my fence, but you don't have to put your fence up on your property line. We got acres and acres. You put the fence up wherever you want to, and I put the fence well onto my property line.
Okay, so they thought that it was...
They thought the fence was on the right-of-way. See, people don't know you really own to the curb. Correct. But then the city has, or the state, or whoever has the right-of-way for 10, 12 feet wide. Well, my sign was not in the right-of-way either, and my fence was not on the right-of-way. My fence was well off the right-of-way. And here's why I knew it was well off the right-of-way, Ed. Had I put my fence on the right-of-way on Barden, it would have had to have been a masonry fence. You were on P&Z, you were on code. Many of our thoroughfares, our ordinance says if it's on those thoroughfares, it has to be a masonry fence. So I called the city and I said, how far back do I need to put that fence to where I don't have to have it masonry? They told me, we got a contractor out there to stake it and measure it, so I made sure my fence was well out, because I knew I'm going to be looked at publicly. The mayor can do it. Anybody can do it. Council member, I was on the council at the time, so I made sure my fence was on my property in the certain distance from the right-of-way to where I didn't have to do a masonry fence. So I knew that sign was on my property because I knew I'd built the fence way, way inside my property line. But like I said, I wasn't the only person that took one of her signs down. I just only one that got publicized about it.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to ask you because people like tuning in and they say, I bet you
Yeah.
want to ask them this. And
No.
Okay.
That's the
Fair
truth.
game. You hear? Might as well ask you.
The only thing I would dispute was they said I cut it down with a box cutter. I didn't cut it down with a box cutter. I had a pair of clippers that pruning shears.
It's like you bragging now. How you
No,
did
I know what I did and how I did it. There's no denying it.
it.
I ain't gonna lie about it.
Okay. Now, as we get ready to go to a close, because we don't want you to be late, we made a commitment to work Main Street.
Main Street Fest.
Okay. What time does it close today?
Well, the last show runs from 10 till midnight. I will not be there to help close it down, though.
Okay. All right. If I leave here early, I'll come over there and,
Try to find me.
try to find you. Okay. So, in the course of trying to find you, where can the voters find you, and why should they vote for you?
Well, I think we just need to keep things going. I think the last 6 years as mayor, I've done it. I've shown that I'm available. I attend nearly anything I ever can. I'm open, and I want to keep this development going. I've made it up to where it was on the RTC, chair of the RTC. I don't want to just be known in Grand Prairie. I want Dallas, Fort Worth. I was with the mayor of Dallas the other day at an event. I want everybody in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex to know who the mayor of Grand Prairie is, not because Ron Jensen wants to ever be anything else. I want them to know that Grand Prairie is on the map, and we're open for business, and we're to be reckoned with. We're ready to do business.
All right. Thank you for coming on the
Thanks for
Commission
having me,
Radio
Ed.
Show. Thank you. All right, Commission Radio Show. We will be right back after we take this break. And, hey, make sure to attend Main Street here in downtown Grand Prairie. We'll see you guys later.